Welcome back to another watch list video. Happy Monday. Today I'm going over my ready list. Some names that acted well, a little perspective on a lot of names I'm paying attention to. And yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. First off, I want to talk about a lot of the names that did really, really well today and showed lots of relative strength, like your Circle, NBIS, Iron, APLD, CoreWeave, etc. A lot of these names I'm going to go through super fast, just letting you know I'm watching for any pullback on a lot of these names into their support areas, their pivots, their moving averages, their support gaps, things like that. And first off, I want to start with Circle. Really nice day today. One I'm just watching for a pullback support gap area or to the pivot. NBIS, I own this one from Friday right through the pivot. And just I did not expect a 12% update today, or sorry, 14% update today. But another one I would like to add to the position on a pullback. Just so much strength in this name, as well as CoreWeave. Another one, this one's got earnings coming up at the end of the week, so maybe wait on this one, but I really want to try to get an add on to this NBIS. Iron, should have bought this one today. It was perfect breakout of that pivot level I talked about yesterday in yesterday's watch this video. Pretty picture perfect, acted really nice. So that was good to see. But overall, just really nice strength. Maybe a pullback to that pivot could watch for a spot, but another one earnings on Thursday, so you got to be careful with a lot of these. APLD, I wasn't able to get into this one. I think the wick right here on the daily chart is bugged because for some reason my intraday chart does not show that we got down to this support gap. I don't know, it could be crazy, but either way, really nice day today, and it's something I'm really paying attention to. But I think it just needs a little bit more digestion here, and I'd like some continued consolidation, but overall a super strong name, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this name completely go without me. But for me personally, I want to maybe try to get in on a higher low setup. This day definitely was the best day to buy it, but I did not do that, so now I gotta wait for that consolidation, wait for that entry. We talked about CoreWeave, super strong, paying attention to. XBI was a really nice name from yesterday's watch list, but another one that I think if it can pull back to the pivot or just pull back in general, maybe squat right back onto the pivot for a day or two, like an inside day, would be cool to maybe get into this one. I own this one over here, and then I just never rebought it when it stopped me out, and I never rebought it back when it kind of squatted back into the base and was acting really nice, and then didn't rebuy it today. So paying attention to it. Don't think this is a bad setup. You could play this through a Labu, which was really nice today through that pivot too. Rocket Lab, I bought this one today, and I can show exactly how I bought it. I just waited for it to come right through the pivot. It undercuts it and rallies back through. Right here is where I started to get long. I think I have like a 78. I can't remember my average, but it's I think it's in the 78s. So 78.20 something, I think. Could be wrong. I'd have to really check on that. But either way, one I got today, but I was only able to get a 5% position size because you got earnings in 3 days, so it needs to push away from there. But overall, looks like a perfect spot for a higher low right off the pivot, right off the 20-day. It's kind of been building a range in the last 7 days, so maybe continue building the range or just push out of it and then see an earnings gap up would be really nice. But overall, I really like this name. Nice weekly chart, like I talked about yesterday. Something I'm really paying attention to, and I don't think I'll add to it because earnings is very soon. But hopefully, this position can give me enough cushion into earnings to where I can hold. Overall, looks like a good chart. COP, a lot of the oil and gas names are looking really good and could be setting up for higher lows. It's really tight days, so COP not bad off the 50-day. Earnings is out of the way. Getting pretty tight above its head, and this could be a possible higher low setup above the prior day's high. CNQ 2 days tight, but it has earnings soon. Sorry, trying to hold in my cough as best I can. CNQ 3 days tight, right above that 50. Doesn't look bad, but another one earnings soon, so I probably will take this name off the list. In all honesty, wait for that earnings report, but not a bad look overall. MXL, I got short this one today, and I'll show how. Right as it lost VWAP, like right here, so I got short. I think I have another one. I have to check my average, but right after this 5-minute candle close, I was looking to get short, and I got short, and had a few percentage cushion, so I was able to hold this one. But we didn't really see quite a real failure yet, so maybe a failure right through that left side peak, like I talked about yesterday. I'll look to add to that position. It's sitting in a 5% position, so I'm trying to keep size small, try not to get too overexposed on the long side as well as on the short side because we're in a very strong market. But I also kind of want to have that diversification to where I have maybe a few shorts on and a lot of the super extended parabolic type semiconductors, as well as still packing on some sort of size and these long setups because they're still coming. GLW 2 days tight after earnings like 5 days ago. sitting right under that previous high pivot. I'm just looking for a break through that pivot, above that pivot tomorrow. Maybe to try some, probably a 5% position. But either way, you got an important level above. So if we can push here, maybe we can get tight, build something out, we'll have a nice base. So I think this could be a nice spot. Definitely could have bought this thing day after, or the second day after, Thursday, after that earnings. Oh my God, I'm losing my voice. But it came down into that gap on the earnings and held it, pretty much swept it and broke right through. So that was nice. But I think 2 days tight doesn't look too bad. LNG, another one I'll probably take off the list, but a tight day, three or 4 days tight, and then a nice inside day today, maybe pushing out of that. XLE, I really like XLE. I think it looks great. Shout out to Joe if you're watching this, for putting this on my radar. But overall, 2 days tight, 2 days inside, and hoping for a push above the prior day high. I think this one looks pretty good, and you got a lot of oil and gas names doing great, which I can actually talk about. You got your sorry, not CF. You got VG, really nice day today, pushing out of that pivot. PBF, another one just pushing. FANG, just so strong, and it just looks great. CHRD, another one super strong. The group in the oil and gas, DK breaking out of the earnings. CVE, and then BP, not a bad inside day today. So yeah, a lot of oil and gas names are acting really strong. So that energy sector is could benefit from that. And then you obviously got a few names I have on the list, so I'll keep going. RRC, this one, earnings is out of the way. Inside day today gets back above the 50, super tight, and could be playable over the prior day high. And I think it looks great. It lost the 50 and kind of like, it's kind of wedging up, so it's not my favorite, but it definitely has been sideways here, so I like it. It's kind of building higher lows into that pivot, so maybe just a break above the prior day high or out of this range would be really nice, as long as it's holding above that 50-day. DOW, Dow, chemicals name. A lot of the chemicals names still have earnings that look great, like CF, like I pulled up. This thing looks awesome, but earnings is in like 2 days, so I can't play it. DOW, inside day, probably won't play this one because it's not really enough digestion. It's kind of wedging in the last 2 or 3 weeks, but a nice inside day could be playable off of through the prior day high. So something I'm just keeping an eye on. NXE, really nice 2 days tight. Kind of failed at that high, but I still think it looks great, and maybe shook a lot of people out, or whatever. A lot of people that tried to buy this thing late got, just hit the second they bought it, so probably no cushion to hold this thing overnight. Either way, really like this name. 2 days tight. The rest of the group, UEC, looks really good. I don't know why I don't have this on the list, but this is definitely a watch list worthy name. NLR, another one, 2 days tight, looks great. This whole group looks awesome, definitely on the top of my radar, so I will add those on there. I actually did have them on, but I took them off. Forgot to take off CNQ and the other ones. But the uranium group looks awesome, especially the NXE, like I said. XOM, not bad. Part of that, I think top holding in the XLE, could be wrong, I have to really check, maybe Oxy or something, but XOM, really nice day. 4 days tight under that 50-day, and a nice outside bar today. This little hammer candle right off the 10-20 day. So looks like this could be like the crossback area and a possibility above the prior day's high through the 50-day as a higher low setup. I really like this one. Got a nice pivot above its head. SOLS had a nasty day on Friday, or not nasty, but kind of like a wick. Had a nasty day last week, the very beginning of the week. Kind of came back on like Wednesday-ish, or sorry, Thursday. Friday was kind of just like a nothing burger, and then today we kind of just held that 20-day, just nice little pullback, nice resting day. Maybe over the prior day high could work. Nice base above its head. Tesla, I really like this one inside day today. Kind of sitting pretty under that pivot that we rejected at the 200-day. We're not really giving up. We came to the 200-day, rejected, but we're coming right back to that same level. I'd like to see this thing break over the prior day high. And I think that'd be really nice. Not bad looking chart to get back to the 200. UFO, this space group looks really good. Like your Rocket Lab I talked about, EL did really well today. I have them all. YSS, not bad double inside day. Not my favorite though, because it's kind of gotten hit pretty hard, so probably won't really play this one. I think FLY is up in the after hours. So overall, group's been pretty nice recently. I think the UFO getting kind of tight 2 days under that pivot. Maybe a blast through that would be nice. Looks pretty good. NXT, not bad as like a higher low setup. Just a big base above its head. I really want to continue to pay attention to this name. So if it really wants to break out above the prior day high, could be playable. Earnings is in like 2 weeks, so definitely keep that in mind. But overall, I think NXT doesn't look bad. Maybe a possible higher low setup. Don't know if I place. I think an inside day tomorrow, like getting really tight, would be nice, because it hasn't really been tight in the last like 3 days, but in the overall last 2 weeks, kind of getting a little. Kind of trying to build a little range here, like a little flag, so something I'm paying attention to. CRML, maybe a possible wick play for tomorrow. I would just like to see a fat breakout above above that top pivot I got, but as well as a pullback into the high volume close is something I would watch for an ad. As long as it shows some nice strength off there. I don't want to just constantly add to the position, ruin my average, but overall, I think this name looks great. And then obviously you got your USAR with kind of a rejection today of that prior area of resistance. But I mean, that day on Friday wasn't anything special. Kind of like an outside bar. Wasn't my favorite. Didn't really get. I mean, it was tight, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted to see. We got CF earning soon, but not a bad chart. Oxy earning soon, but not a bad chart. CoreWeave, obviously, I could talk about earnings very soon. Really good chart. NTR, another one, earnings very soon, not a bad chart. LUMN, nice tight inside day under a big base, but it's got earnings soon. CCJ, part of that uranium group, not my favorite action, losing the 20-day today, but overall just starting to get a little tight, but earnings soon. FSLY, another one, earnings soon, but not a bad day. I like these setups, but like I said, there's so many earnings this week that it's better to just sit on your hands, be patient, and wait for those perfect setups, and wait for those earnings gappers. I think it'll be nice, right? Like you could look at your Nvidia of the overall market, right? Not a bad day pulling back to that pivot and kind of getting bought up. Could have been a long setup through that area as an undercut and rally. I don't mind that in the hindsight now, but AOSL trying to build a high tight flag. So yes, I'm short MXL and I'm still looking for a failure of that area, but you got the semiconductor names trying to build high tight flags. You got your Intel, right? Super extended, but 2 to 4 weeks sideways. I mean, that could be another nice little base high tight flag, nice power play, whatever you want to call it. Right, you got your AMD getting pretty extended, still needs some digestion in my opinion. AEHR, same thing. Your prior leaders starting to actually digest or continue digesting. Marvell getting pretty tight, but another one I just want to see it digest and not just continue to power higher, even though it's so strong and it probably will. I just want to see these things digest so I can get it. Dell, obviously, another leader. Intel, I talked about, another leader. SIMO, another one. Just these things, these prior leaders or these actual leaders need digestion. And don't be looking at prior leaders like Palantir, absolute turds. But the current leaders like your BE, just some nice digestion, some flags to be built up here would be really great. VIEV, another one. Like there's so many that had big earnings gap ups and have just been so strong in the last few weeks, last month or two, that we're at that area where they probably need some digestion. You look at the QQQ kind of with the red day today, hasn't even budged the 5 days, so don't get too ahead of yourself there. But yeah, I don't know, an outside bar, maybe some digestion is needed. Does that mean I go short? No. Does that mean I pack on a bunch of long exposure? No. But it's more so just notice it. Take your setups with the risk that you're seeing with proper size. Use progressive exposure. Don't power your whole portfolio into one position or and just to a bunch of stuff and just be buying a whole bunch of names all the way up here. I definitely don't want to do that. There's a few names like AXTI, definitely still parabolic. I think this thing probably could even continue higher. I don't want to see it do that. I mean, that'd be nice for as far as like parabolic short, but like I said, flip to a monthly, this thing looks unreal. And even a weekly, same thing. Just get super. It's getting parabolic on a higher time frame, and I see no daily setup for a short. Maybe a failure below the $100 level, but besides that, I mean, I just let this thing trade the next few days, and maybe it could offer a short setup. I don't really want to jump in front of something that showed relative strength today like this, especially if this was one of the top movers today. On a market red day. AMPX trying to build out sideways here. Not my favorite. It's kind of wedging in the last 5 days, but just letting this thing digest. Could be a higher low setup if it breaks above today's high, but at the same time, I just want a little bit tighter action. Let this continue to digest. Think it could be good. Maybe on some weakness could be good. I don't think earnings is soon. It looks like it's estimated, so another one to just keep an eye on. It's been a pretty nice leader. LLY is not a bad setup. Not my favorite. Not anything I'm really paying too close attention to, but nice inside day. Gets back above the 200 earnings. Something I'm just watching. CIEN, super strong leader. Definitely not buying it up here, but nice to see this thing still holding up. Putting in an inside day probably just continues higher. Q, it's too high up there for me to really trade it. I feel like it was buyable way lower. Like it's past its initial buy point. It's got earnings soon, but another like leading stock that's or just a name that's just been doing really well and just powering higher every single day and not getting hit in any type of way. So I think it feels like that. You got DOCN so strong with earnings tomorrow in that software group, and then you get your DDOG getting back above the 200, CrowdStrike getting back above the 200, Net is starting to finally live above its 200, and then just another random one, CDNS, another tech. Software stock getting back above its 200. Flip to the IGV, still a big bottoming base, not a bad day today. Maybe a few more days of tightness here, kind of build out some sort of like continue to build out that like handle. for some buyable action. But I mean, yeah, like this thing was a great buy down here at the support gap. You know, it offered so many entries, as well as, you know, your undercut and rally off the lows at the bottom. But besides that, you know, uraniums I'm paying attention to. A lot of these stocks on my list. Don't want to keep this video too long, but I appreciate you guys coming in and watching this, and I wish you the best of luck in the markets. Peace.